Sisters who watch. Sisters who watch. Sisters who watch.
Mean Girls.
Hey y'all, hey. Hi family.
Hi.
Welcome to Sisters Who Watch.
I'm Shelby.
And I'm Laura, and we're sisters who watch everything. TV, movies, sports, concerts, and even musicals turned into movies. We love to watch, and we love talking about it even more. Today we're watching
Mean Girls. The musical reboot of the 2004 classic cult film.
That's a classic cult film. Mean Girls. Okay, and before we get into it, PSA, y'all, make sure you rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. 5 stars only. It would mean so much to us. And also make sure to automatically download our episodes as well and subscribe to our YouTube channel and all of our social medias at Sisters Who Watch. Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Twitter. We're everywhere. Okay, we appreciate your support.
Thanks,
okay,
y'all.
Shall we tell us about Mean Girls 2024?
Let's get into it. So, everybody, here's the logline. New student Katie Heron gets welcomed into the top of the social food chain by an elite group of popular girls called the Plastics, ruled by the conniving Queen Bee Regina George. However, when Katie makes the major misstep of falling for Regina's ex-boyfriend, she soon finds herself caught in their crosshairs. Ooh, high school drama.
Oh my gosh.
Crazy. And this musical adaptation of the film is directed by Samantha Jane and Arturo Perez Jr., both of their featured directorial debuts. And the script was written by Tina Fey, who also, of course, wrote the 2004 Gem and helped get the Broadway musical started. And this is an adaptation of the Broadway musical Mean Girls. So if you didn't know, there's music in this movie. They took it out of some of the promos, so it's not super clear that it's a musical, but for real fans, people that have been paying attention, it is. And of course, the original Mean Girls is based on the 2002 self-help book, Queen Bees and the Wannabes by Rosalind Wiseman.
Wow.
So adaptations on adaptations.
Yes. Reboots on reboots on reboots. This movie was, it's adapted from a Broadway musical that was adapted from a 2004 movie that was adapted from a 2002 book.
Uh-huh. Adaptations on adaptations.
Keep up.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Shelby, what were you expecting coming into this movie?
Well, the original film is iconic. It's a cult classic. Our generation really cares about it. I mean, the cast, Lindsay Lohan, Rachel McAdams, Amanda Seyfried, there was so much about the first movie that resonates. So it was a high bar that I had coming in. And I also recently rewatched the original movie on a plane. And I was laughing so hard. I forgot how good it is. And I forgot how many great lines there are in the original Mean Girls. On Wednesdays, we were pink. And yes, we are wearing pink today in honor of the movie.
And Shelby got me a Mean Girls t-shirt for Christmas.
I did.
And it says on Wednesdays we wear pink. It's kind of hard to see, but I'm wearing it.
Some other iconic lines. You go, Gun Coco. She doesn't even go here. I mean, the entire movie has so many iconic lines. So I think coming in, I was a little concerned about how the movie would match up, but I was excited regardless, right? Nostalgia. This year is the 20th anniversary of the film. The original movie came out April 30th, 2004, 20 years ago, which is insane. So I was just excited.
Yeah, I'm with you. If you listen to our most anticipated content of 2024 episode, you'll hear that my number one most anticipated film was Mean Girls, because this movie has been hyped up so much. Like, we have been waiting for this. They have been talking about this. Reneé Rapp is a star. Everyone's talking about Reneé Rapp. She's everywhere. She was just on SNL. She's having a moment. So, and plus, I remember hearing about this musical on Broadway years ago, we never saw it, but I knew that it was really popular. And Reneé Rapp, if people don't know, she was the star of the musical on Broadway. Like that's how, like she was Regina George on Broadway. So it was cool that we saw her in the movie as well because she was the original Regina George. And Shelby and I also know her from The Sex Lives of College Girls,
Yes.
which is a show on Max that we watched. And yeah, so she's been blowing up. Everyone's talking about her. She's traveling. She's on tour. She has a whole music career. She has a song with Megan Thee Stallion that is good.
Oh, have you listened? It's really good.
I have. It's not my fault. And it's the song at the end of the movie. Yeah.
I'm here for it.
Yeah. So I was expecting a lot. I think that's maybe why some people had critiques of it, or maybe why it might not have been as satisfying because the original is so iconic. I saw it about a year and a half ago, pretty recently, and watching it, I was like, this movie just is so good.
Still slaps.
The references, like, there's so many quotable lines from the movie. It's like every scene, there's an iconic line.
Crazy.
It's like, I'm not a normal mom, I'm a cool mom. And I love, apparently it's like blowing up online, but when Regina in the original is like, Regina is a fugly fat slut, and she's like crying and writing that in the burn book. Oh my gosh, it's so funny.
Iconic.
I love that scene.
My gosh.
Yeah, it's so good.
Ooh.
So yeah, the original Mean Girls is so iconic. So I think that this movie just had a lot to live up to. So I think it came in at a disadvantage, right? I heard from some people because I saw it like 2 weekends after opening weekend. So I knew some people who had seen it, and they were like, I was like, oh, how'd you like it? And they're like, oh, like it's okay. I didn't hear great things about the movie.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, because I was expecting it to be amazing. So when I heard people not liking it, I was like, oh, okay. So I came in a little hesitant, but I was pleasantly surprised. I enjoyed the movie. So yeah.
Another nugget I'll add is that Paramount made this movie, and they were actually initially going to make it for streaming, like to be on Paramount Plus.
Oh.
But I think they realized there was more buzz and like, oh, maybe this is something that could actually go in theaters and make money. So 100%. To your point, I do think there was excitement, buzz for this.
Yes.
Which made it like it was tough for it to deliver, I think, on all the buzz and the expectations and to match the original.
Exactly. 100%. And as we talked about, Reneé Rapp, she is on the rise. She's the star. She's Regina George. So it had a pretty recognizable cast, especially for Gen Z people, right? For young people, millennials, they recognize these people. Also, Moana herself, Ali Carvalho, she was Janice. Shelby, I didn't even recognize her. I saw her, right? I saw her as Janice. I was like, oh, who's that? Like, she's amazing. And then I saw her name. Yeah, I guess I didn't really look into the cast too much beforehand. And then I saw her name in the credits. I was like, wait, Janice was Moana?
I can't.
I was shocked. She looked unrecognizable. She truly transformed.
So funny. And also, Andre Rice, who played Katie, I recognized her from Mayor of Easttown. Remember, she played Kate Winslet's daughter in the HBO miniseries?
I do remember that show, but I do not remember.
I recognized her from that, and then also the Netflix movie Senior Year. She played the young Rebel Wilson. So I was like, oh, okay. Wow. She's like popping up in more things.
Yeah, and this was a huge role for her.
Yeah, like a big step. And then Christopher Briney from The Summer I Turned Pretty, he was Aaron. Yes. So I think to your point, like having recognizable people for Gen Z millennials, I think they did a good job of like not the biggest names, but people that were recognizable enough.
Totally. And of course, Tina Fey is playing her original role in the movie.
Yes. And
as well as Tim Meadows.
Mm-hmm. Love seeing them back. And spoiler, in the movie, they're together, which was so funny because in the original, you can tell there's like some awkward chemistry and like, it's like, oh, what's going on here? So I like that now they're like a couple.
Yes, I did enjoy that twist. I was like, oh, okay. I'm so curious if someone saw, for the people who saw the Broadway musical, how true it was to the musical, or if they also changed it, right? Because there were some slight changes from the original movie, which was good because it wasn't exactly the same, but I'm curious if it was the exact same format as a musical.
Mm. Let us know, audience. DM
Yes, if people have
us,
seen
comment,
it.
let us know.
Yes. So some of the themes for Mean Girls 2024 were bullying, social media, and of course, Gen Z teenagers.
Yes. I think the social media piece is interesting because obviously that was not
Mm-hmm.
around when the first Mean Girls came
No.
out, which is kind of crazy. I'm like, wow, I guess we are that old. But yeah, social media was not that much of a thing or around.
No.
So it was interesting seeing how they tackled it. I think they did a solid job of like highlighting how social media and like trends can impact a high school student these days.
Yeah.
Like I thought it was a funny moment when Janice and Damien and Katie are trying to mess with Regina's life, and they soak her with sprinklers on the field when she's accepting like an award, and she gets like all her eye makeup messed up and her eyeliner's dragging. And then all of a sudden it becomes a trend in school and social media to wear
Yeah.
your eye makeup like when your mascara is running. And I was like, that's a funny, I think, critique on social media because yeah, anything can be a
Definitely.
trend, even if it's like your makeup running, which really isn't like a good thing. But hey, social media, it's a trend. It's popular. The popular girl does it. We all do. So I thought that was kind of funny.
Right.
And how things could easily, like rumors would spread on social media. Like when Regina gets hit by the bus, everyone's like, oh, it had to have been Katie. She pushed her. And it's just interesting seeing how the social media came to play to like
Yes.
enhance and like further add to some of like the core storylines from the original movie too.
Definitely. And I think that when I was talking to my friends right after we saw the movie, it's about teenagers now, which I think was a cool spin, right? Because 2004 was a very different time for teenagers. I mean, we weren't teens in 2004, but we also had a very different high school experience than these Gen Z teenagers today. Like TikTok didn't exist when we were in high school, right? So it was cool to see, all the TikTok things happening in the
Mm-hmm.
movie and all the dancing and the trends and um yeah. So I think it was an interesting look. Also the fashion too, all the Gen Z fashion. Um yeah. So I wonder if teenagers felt like really represented by this movie. Because to me, I was like, oh, this feels like pretty accurate, but obviously we could be wrong.
Yeah, I think that's the million dollar question. Everyone's trying to connect to Gen Z and get them to go to the
Yes.
theaters. And it's like, is this what you like? Is this you? So maybe we need to pull Gen
Exactly.
Z, go to our
I
like local
know.
high school. Hey, did you guys watch Mean Girls? Do you think this is what your life's like?
I can't. Yes, all our Gen Z listeners, teenage listeners, let us know. Um, yeah, and I think something else is there is a little cringe sometimes, and sometimes I was like, is this like Gen Z cringe? Like, I don't know how realistic some of this is, but maybe it is. They really dove headfirst into social media and TikTok culture, and at times it was like a lot,
Give an
you know.
example of a Gen Z cringe.
Um, when they would do like when the screen would be just like TikTok boxes and like rectangles. I was like, I don't know. I was like, okay, we get it. Like they use TikTok. I don't. Like, I did like the Halloween song, like when Gretchen was doing
Oh, okay.
um the Halloween song. Like I did enjoy that, but it started out with like all the different like boxes and like
It was a
TikTok dance
lot.
and stuff, and I was like, okay. Like I get it, they use TikTok. So that was one
Mm-hmm.
moment where I was like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay, what were some of your favorite moments from the movie?
I liked the French class. Of course, like that was mentioned in the trailer. It's like, give us a French name. And they're like, Beyonce. Like that I thought was funny. And
Yeah.
Shout out to Ashley Park, who played the French teacher. I feel like she's everywhere right now. Good for
She
her.
is.
She's having a moment. I also thought the various cameos, like having John Hamm as the health class teacher, like that was
Classic.
funny. So I thought the movie wasn't hilarious throughout, but the French class, the health class, I thought those were like funny moments. Also, I don't know how I feel about the music, to be honest, but the one song that I felt like was really good, and I think you feel the same, was I Am Regina George.
Yes.
I was like, love that from Reneé Rapp. She's crushing. Like that, I thought was the best song.
Yes, I totally agree. That was one of my favorite moments in the movie. And they teased that a little bit in the trailer. But I think there was like so much anticipation built up, and you're like, oh my gosh, like Reneé Rapp, there she is, Regina George. Yeah. But then when she's finally there and it's like, I am Regina George, and then you just see her mouth, I was like, yes, like she's here. They built it up really well. So that was definitely one of my favorite moments.
I agree.
Yeah.
And what was the song when she was at the Halloween party trying to get Aaron back? I thought that song was good too. I guess
when
anytime
was like,
good.
Oh, when you're talking about the song when it was everyone was like kind of still and she was moving through the crowd. Yeah.
That was cool. I guess anytime Reneé Rapp was singing, I was like, into it.
honestly. Yes,
she's a star.
I totally agree. She's a star. She's everywhere. I also really liked Rocking Around the Pole.
The funny Christmas twist scene, on it.
It was a funny twist because Jingle Bell Rock is the classic, iconic scene. They're dancing to Jingle Bell Rock, and they're doing their crazy little dance at the talent show. But this time, they're doing it to a song called Rockin' Around the Pole. I thought this was a good twist. You see Regina just face plants, eats the floor in the new movie. And that instantly, like, goes viral. And I thought that was also a good play on social media and how everyone's like, Regina's dead, but Katie looks so good in the background. And Katie becomes a star. Regina's like, no one cares about her anymore. She becomes a joke. So I liked that moment because the song was fun. The dance is always funny. And I loved when they like clacked their heels. That was good. And all the parents were like, oh. Literally. Busy Phillips was like, Regina's mom, Busy Phillips, was like so happy and like, yes, Regina, yes, girls. So
it doesn't compare to moment. Amy Poehler, but still iconic, still funny, still funny.
Amy Poehler's so good. Yeah. What's one of your least favorite moments?
Speaking of music, I didn't love Gretchen's sad song in the closet. Like when she notices, I guess, like a gift, something she gave to Regina that Regina doesn't really use, and like Katie comes in to check in on her, and she just is really sad and starts singing. It seemed very random. I was like, okay. Like, and I forget, like, it's a musical, they have to sing. Part of me is like, maybe if I saw the musical, I'd care more about the songs and like be more into them. But throughout, like Gretchen's sad song, Janice and Damien's song in the hallway, like I kind of was like, move on. I'm ready for the next thing.
Yeah, I agree. I don't even remember that song of Gretchen singing.
That's fine.
But I agree. There were some musical numbers that were going on a really long time, and I was like, okay, this could have been cut, right? Because it felt like there was a song like every 2 minutes. It felt like very frequent.
Too much.
And I felt it was too much at times. And I remember, I think it was when they're in the gym and they're like doing the trust falls and saying all this stuff. There was like a point where Janice started like belting in Katie's face, and it was like really loud and like really out of nowhere. And I was just like, I just thought that was so weird.
You don't need another song.
No. And she was like aggressively singing like really loud and like right in her face. I was like, what is going on? I thought that was awkward. And yeah, Janice's song after like doing the trust fall thing, she's like running through the hallways. I remember being like, I don't love what's happening right now. Yeah, so I agree. Some of the music, I was like, this is either too much or, yeah, move on. Move on.
Yeah. And I'm like, is it because the songs aren't that good? Is it because I didn't see the musical, so I don't have that resonance? Like, I think when Wicked comes
Yeah.
out, I'm going to love seeing the songs, you know? So it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know why it is, but maybe it's just they struggle to connect like the acting sequences with like the musical sequences and they just
Yes.
didn't
The
gel.
transitions were, yeah, the
That's what seems
transitions were
like
a
the
little
problem.
funky.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I also didn't like Karen trying to be dumb. Like it just didn't feel super like natural. And
Mm.
when she was trying to like reference the original and like, oh, I can use my boobs to tell the weather, it just didn't land for me. And like
Mm.
her face when she was trying to play dumb, like it just felt so weird. I don't know. It felt
Yeah.
like, yeah, everything she tried to do to play up, like, oh, I'm stupid, it just didn't resonate with me. So
That's so fair.
that's a least favorite moment. Yikes.
Oh, that's so interesting. I remember leaving being like, I thought Karen was so good. Um, and I remember, yeah, the group of girls I was with were like, oh, we loved Karen. Like, she was so funny. So that's really interesting that she didn't land for you. But I will
No, she didn't
say,
land for
some
me.
of the references and jokes from the old movie didn't land. I do agree with that. When Damien was like, she doesn't even go here. Like, it didn't. I remember thinking, like, you want it to be like the original, but it
Yeah.
wasn't. It just kind of fell flat.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I agree. And like all the jokes about fetch, I was like, I don't know,
Yeah.
it just felt some of them felt too on the nose. Some of the
Yeah. It
references,
felt too on the nose, and maybe that's an area where you choose a different word. Like that's so dope, and it's like
right?
stop trying to make dope happen. Like make it more recent or choose something else.
Yeah,
Because I agree, it wasn't landing.
yeah, exactly. So and as we talked about, some of the transitions were weird in the movie, and Damien and Janice were like the narrators for a lot of it, and
Yeah.
some of the narration breaks felt
Didn't
kind of
like.
awkward. Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't they open the movie breaking the fourth wall, then ending the movie breaking like it just
Yeah.
it felt very strange to have them as the narrators. And I also didn't love breaking the fourth wall. I didn't think that was necessary. Like if you honestly take out all of those scenes, I think the movie would be fine.
Yeah. I think they probably were trying to stay as true to the musical as possible,
Yeah.
right? And I bet the people who saw the musical were so happy, but I'm like, how many people actually saw the musical? I personally don't know anyone. It was popular on Broadway and I heard it was good, but I'm like,
In
most
my
people who are seeing the
theater,
movie.
there was some people like singing the song. So I was like, oh, maybe these people like really know the musical. But I think they're in the minority. I
Yeah,
agree. I think most people have not seen the musical.
exactly. Yeah, and I don't know, Katie was kind of annoying to me in this movie. And I don't know if I remember her being so annoying in the
She
original,
wasn't. They did not do a good job, I
right?
feel like, creating her character. And I think that's one of my
Mhm.
issues. It felt like her change from nice girl to mean girl happened too fast, and we didn't grow with her. We don't see her struggle with anything. Maybe it was the acting, maybe it was I don't know what it was, but
Oh,
you lose, like you don't root for her.
no.
You're not connected to her. And I agree. I think especially having just seen the first movie, I think they skipped some like core parts that help you learn more about Katie or like root for Katie or like more things happen that turn her into a mean girl. Whereas in this one, it just seemed like, oh, she doesn't get Aaron, mean girl. Like in the original, there was like more things that led to it. And I think that could be why maybe we're like, oh, I don't like Katie.
Right. Yeah. She was not super likable in this movie. And I remember Lindsay Lohan was so likable, and I mean, she blew up. She had been blowing up, but she really just shot to the
Icon.
stars after this movie. And I feel like this Katie Heron was not, like, I did not like her. And I think that's a good transition to our categories.
Yes.
So, Shelby, who or what did you love to hate and Mean Girls?
I'm gonna say like the musical component. If you didn't know already, I clearly didn't like the music, but I liked
Ooh.
Regina's songs.
Mm-hmm.
So it's tough. Like I thought the Regina songs were great, but I thought the rest of them were okay and went on
Yeah.
too long.
Yeah.
So it's a musical, what are you gonna do? But I think if they had made changes to make them shorter or find a way for them to seem more seamless. To your point, Janice all of a sudden starting to sing in Katie's face in the gym, like it felt very like jarring. Like
Yeah.
maybe easing the transitions more, it would have been better. So, yeah, the musical part, just I love to hate it.
Yeah, I am with you. Like you said, there were some parts that I really did like. Um, I liked I Am Regina George. I did like the Halloween song, like in the beginning, transitioning, starting with Karen, and
Mm-hmm.
she's talking about like a sexy doctor solving sexy cancer. That line really stuck.
Crazy.
That was funny. That was funny. So I did like some of the songs, but a lot of them did fall a little flat, weren't that memorable. Um, yeah, and I remember when they're all like animals, like running around the hallways. I remember that sequence felt really long,
So
and I was
long.
like, okay, they can move on from this song. And also in the middle when they're all wearing like bright colors. Do you remember this? And they're like running through the
Yeah.
hallways and they're like singing. I was like, and that went on a really long time, and I was like, what is the song? So some of the musical components were great, some of them weren't. um I also have for love to hate Regina. I don't know, I felt like in this movie, like I was rooting for Regina George, where I feel like in the first one,
You're rooting for
like
Katie.
Regina was clearly the villain, right? Like she was the
Yeah.
villain. But maybe because Katie felt like a villain
There
to
was
me in this
something missing
movie,
with her character. Yeah.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
it felt like, oh, Katie is like, kind of terrorizing Regina. And so I was rooting for her. And maybe also Reneé Rapp is playing Regina, and, people really like her. So maybe that also impacted. But I liked Regina in this movie.
I agree. I think I would have Regina in Love to Love. Is that a little chaotic of me? Well,
That's very chaotic of you. I know, our hero of the movie, Regina George. Oh my goodness.
she was definitely more likable in this one for sure.
Right? 100%, 100%. Okay, so if you can tell from my hate to hate, I have Katie. I have Katie here.
Yikes.
I didn't connect with her character at all. I just, like, when she came in, it felt like she didn't have any personality in the beginning. And then she's like this mean girl, and she's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna go after Aaron. I'm gonna act stupid. I'm gonna make Regina fat and give her all these bars and stuff. I know these are the same things they did in the original, but they just felt like really mean. And she just didn't have any redeeming factors. It was really hard to root for her in this movie.
I'm aligned. The more I think about it, like maybe it's how she was playing the character and the acting.
Mm,
Because to your point, it's literally the same thing that, Lindsay Lohan did 20 years ago. And I feel like in this Katie, there was less like, oh, awkward girl next door. Oh, I just moved from Africa.
yeah,
Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, I'm kind of like fun. And like, you lost a little of that. And I think that's what made the original Katie like root worthy. You're like, she doesn't really know what she's
totally.
doing. She's just like falling into this, and we root for her. So I agree. I think Katie's a good one for hate to hate. I'd also throw in
Yeah.
there all of the awkward transitions. I don't know who edited the movie, but there needed to be some more decisions made in the chopping block.
Yeah, I will never forget Janice just scream yelling in Katie's face.
Yeah.
Jarring. Yeah, I felt like the musical transitions. I know that's how a normal musical is, but this is not a musical on
Something
Broadway.
about it
This is a
felt
movie,
off.
right?
Yeah.
So they have
Like
to be a
we've
bit more
seen
seamless.
other musical adaptations, like In the Heights. Like that I
Mm-hmm.
think flowed so much better than this.
Oh
So I
yeah,
don't know
I
what the
love that
problem
movie.
is. Yeah,
I
clearly
agree.
something happened.
I know. So I agree.
Yikes.
Awkward transitions we can throw in there. So Love to Love, of course, nostalgia. It was so fun to see this in the theater and be reminded of the
2000s.
original because the original is just so. I mean, we're children of the 2000s, right? Like that's our era, and this
Mhm.
movie is like 2000s core. Is that how people use that
I've literally never heard that before,
terminology?
but I guess so.
No, it's like core, like something.
Like Barbie core? I've heard that.
Yes. Gen Z's, help us, please. I think that's how you use it.
I can't.
But yeah, it just felt like such a huge part of 2000s culture. So I was just like taken back. So I love the nostalgia factor here.
Aligned. I agree. I also think the diversity was cool to see, right? Having different ethnicities and races represented. I
Yeah.
think Damien being a gay black man was cool. Um, so it was cool to see, of course, like as our country has evolved, as like the new Gen Z generation is so much more diverse. I liked how you see that change with this film.
Yes. And I know that a lot of people, there have been critiques about putting diverse characters in traditionally white roles, right? For example, Little
Mm,
Mermaid, there's a lot of pushback.
mm.
And and you have like an Indian actress playing Karen. And did you pick this up? I think Gretchen was Latina.
Yeah,
Remember in the
yeah.
closet, she was like, "Oh my gosh, like my abuelo got me this," and
It was
I remember
very casual. I was like, oh,
that was the only
I
mention
peeped.
she said that, and I was
I
like,
peeped.
"Oh." I was like, "That's interesting," and I mentioned that to my friends when we left, and it just felt like jarring when she was like, "Oh my." My abuelo got me this, and you're like, what?
It made
So
me think they must have cut out other instances. Or maybe they
right,
didn't and that was a mistake. But they should
that
have
just felt
had
random.
other ways to show that because Gretchen's character is definitely white passing. And there was
Yes.
nothing to really show that she was Latinx. So,
Right. So I just thought that was also jarring when she said that. I was like, what?
mhm.
And I know the people who saw it with me were also confused by that comment. So yeah, maybe it just felt like, look at all these diverse people we're casting. Oh my gosh, everyone's represented now,
Wasn't
which is
necessary for the
amazing.
story. Yeah. Like it
Yes.
felt like the first season of And Just Like That. You're just throwing things in. Black
Black,
person, transgender
non-binary.
person, duh, duh, duh.
Everyone.
Instead of like being thoughtful and like writing it into the script and the
Yes.
story. Completely agree.
Exactly. That's the point. They're just doing like diversity and inclusion bingo. Like
Check.
that's kind of like the movie felt like. But regardless, we appreciate the
Framing,
diversity.
not the DNI
But
bingo.
right,
I
but
have
I do.
a I for Indian. I can't.
Oh my gosh,
I can't.
I can't be for black.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it was a lot, especially after Gretchen was like, "My abuelo got me this." I was like, "What's going on here?" Exactly, like that's what I'm saying. If we're gonna have these people and these characters, like,
Ooh.
give them more meat because still the white characters had all the lines, right? Like they were the stars of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Katie and Regina.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. It just felt like just
A little forced.
diversity for the sake of just having a face. But,
Mm-hmm.
I won't complain too much, even though we've complained a lot. But I do appreciate the diversity.
Screaming.
Okay, and we also love to love the Lindsay Lohan cameo. So
Spoiler,
happy she
Lilo's in the
returned.
film. Yes. Love to see
Yes.
her. No one else, of course, besides Tina and Tim Meadows from the original film were in it. So it was cool
Mm-hmm.
to see Lindsay in the
Yes.
iconic mathlete scene where it's like the math competition and like Katie has to answer the final question. Lindsay Lohan plays like the moderator. So it was really cool to see her. She looked great. And I'm glad we at least had some more representation from the original film.
Yes. Yeah, that was satisfying. That was happy to see. Oh, and did you hear about a little bit of there's some controversy about the movie?
No.
So I saw this E News. I follow E News on Instagram, and
You
they give
get
me
all
all I
your
need to know. And
please.
and they were like, Lindsay Lohan responds to like line in new Mean Girls movie. And I was like, what? But do you remember? It was in one of the TikTok compilations, and I think it was after Regina like face planted at the talent show. Megan Thee Stallion, she made a few cameos on it.
Yes.
And she was like, she said something about fire crotch. Do you remember that? It was like very fast.
No.
But she was like, go on fire crotch, like something like that. And apparently Lindsay Lohan was called fire crotch like in a derogatory way like in the 2000s. I don't know all the context, but that term was used at her like in a very negative way. Yes. So and then the movie referenced fire crotch. Like,
and I've literally never heard that before, so it seems purposeful.
So it just doesn't feel bizarre. And Lindsay Lohan, apparently her dad also commented, like, yeah, like, oh, that was hurtful. Like, Lindsay Lohan was like, quote, said the line was hurtful. And the dad was like, yeah, why would they use that? Like, that was used to, like, bully her, basically, at, back in the 2000s. So, yeah.
Yikes.
So Lindsay's not happy about that. I wouldn't be either.
I wouldn't be. Yikes.
No. So justice for Lilo, as Shelby said.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
All right, Shelby. Are you ready for a game?
Yes. Favorite time of the episode. Red flag, green flag. 1, 2, 3.
That's it. Okay, Shelby. Do you want to ask me the first one?
Yes. Laura, is it a red flag to date your friend's boyfriend like Katie dated Aaron?
Yeah. Or even, quote, like, frenemies, right?
That's fair, yeah.
Regina and Katie weren't, like, best friends, right? But, yes, it's a red flag. If you were even, like, friendly with someone, like, why are you dating their ex-boyfriend? That just seems weird. So strange. Clearly, we did not like Katie Heron in this film.
I know.
And that's just another reason. I just felt like her pursuit of Aaron just felt really selfish. I just did not like it at all. So, yeah, it's a red flag in this movie. It's a red flag in life.
100%. Couldn't have said it better myself. Aligned.
No. Okay, Shelby. Is it a green flag to remake classic movies into musicals?
Well, based on our discussion today, you'd think no, it's not a green flag. But I think if it's executed well, it could totally be a green flag. You know? Like, I look at A Star Is Born, that was like a remake of, a movie that's been made multiple times before. But I think A Star Is Born with Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper was a very successful remake with music, That was more of like a movie with music and less a musical. Yeah. But I do think it's possible. I just don't think this one was successful. So I'd say, what's in between yellow? A yellow flag? An amber flag? A brown flag? Whatever the flag is. Orange? A burnt orange? Because I don't think Mean Girls the musical is a green. But I don't think that means it can't be done successfully.
Yeah, that's so fair. And I know the Color Purple movie just came out. We haven't seen it. I haven't seen it, right?
I haven't seen it. I know Wonka as well. That's a musical of a classic movie. So we could watch those and circle back.
Yes.
But right now, I'm yellow.
I'm in the middle. I agree. I agree. Because the thing is that I love musicals. I feel like after listening to this, you're probably like, these girls hate musicals.
Not the case.
I love Broadway. We grew up in New York. We grew up going to, a bunch of different shows.
Yes. Laura sings.
We both grew up singing, right? So I love musicals, and that's why I was really excited. I just felt like the transitions were just a little bizarre, and they went on too long. Yeah. But I do love musicals, so I was excited about it. So yeah, I think it can be done really well, and it can be a great movie. Like In the Heights. I mean, that's also a musical, but yeah, great movies. Okay, Shelby, how are you feeling? Is Mean Girls 2024 a wait or watch?
Oof. I think I think technically it's a watch, but I don't think you have to rush to see it in theaters. I think you can
Mm,
wait till it's on Paramount Plus, to be honest.
interesting.
I do recommend it overall, but to like pay, $15-$20 in LA to see it, maybe go on $5 Tuesday. Maybe see a
Yeah,
matinee.
see a matinee.
Or just wait till it's on Paramount Plus. Like, I don't think it's like a must, but having seen it in a theater opening weekend in a packed theater, it was a vibe. Like, it was fun seeing it how I did. But after, I'm like, I don't think you have to. Like, it's not like a must see in a theater to me.
Yeah, that's so fair. I think I feel the same way. I think it's definitely a watch. If you like the original Mean Girls, if you like musicals, you'll enjoy it. I did enjoy the movie. I'm sorry if the critiques make you think otherwise, but I definitely did enjoy it. I thought it was really fun. I laughed a good amount throughout. It was funny. So I really liked it. But I do agree. If you're not into musicals, I wouldn't see it. I would say if you did not like or watch the original, I don't know why you would see this movie. I
No.
feel like it really appeals to the people who watch
Fans.
that.
Yeah, it's for fans of Mean Girls or musicals. And
Exactly.
if you're fans of neither, not for you.
Don't. You're
Don't
not
see it.
gonna like it.
Because
I
as a
totally
fan
agree.
of Mean Girls and musicals, I had to admit it was not as good as the original and did not meet my expectations. So,
Yeah, I agree. I think our expectations were really high.
yeah.
Did it meet them? No, but I did still enjoy the movie.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Totally.
Yes, completely agree.
Okay. On to our what to watch segment.
Yes.
Shelby, what are we watching? What do we look forward to?
Well, of course, all things Reneé Rapp. She's clearly the star of the film.
Yes.
She was already blowing up, and I think she's just going to continue to blow up. And like you mentioned, Laura, she was just the musical guest on SNL. So go support her and watch that. I would also recommend watching the OG Mean Girls on Paramount Plus. Again, having just seen it on a plane, I forgot how iconic it is and how good it is.
So good.
Such a fun watch. Definitely would recommend. And then for those of you trying to be a part of the Lohanessance, Lindsay Lohan is back acting with Netflix movies.
Oh.
She had the Falling for Christmas, holiday rom-com. She has a new movie coming out soon called Irish Wish.
Oh.
So, she's out here. She's hustling. Go support.
Okay.
Here for Lilo.
What'd you say? What
Irish Wish.
No, what'd you call her moment?
The Lohanessance? The Lohanessance.
Did you make that up, or is it something you've heard?
No, I mean, I used to work at Netflix, and like when people were talking about having her in movies, we called it Lohanessance. I thought that was a thing. Is it not?
I've never heard of that, but I like it. Lohanessance. Okay.
Yeah. Maybe we're starting
An insider.
And insiders, yeah.
I can't. Well, if y'all enjoyed this episode and are excited for the Lohanessance like us, make sure you rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Yes.
And make sure you subscribe to our channels there, subscribe to our YouTube page, and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Twitter. We're there, all at Sisters Who Watch.
Everywhere. Thanks, y'all, for the support. We appreciate y'all. We want to hear from you. Please comment on our posts. You can DM us. You can email us at sisterswhowatch@gmail.com. Answer our Q&A questions on Spotify. We are grateful for all of y'all. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.
Everything.
Stay watching.